WICR, we're back. We're live. A little technical issues, but I think we're good right now. I mean, political gridiron. You can hear me. I can hear you. We're all hearing each other. I think we'll be all right. So, as we were talking before, we had the Hillary Clinton announcement video. We're going on a little bit more about that. Bill, what do you want to continue on more so about? I mean, we were talking about more so the. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Pat, I would like to go talk about how Hillary Clinton's going to go influence the rest of the presidential field in the race for president. I think that we're going to go see a young senator, perhaps, or an upcoming governor of a blue state somewhere join the race for president. Because right now, if you only have one dog in the fight, why don't you just give that dog a competition? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and things like this, like we saw in 2008 when Hillary thought she was going to go, when some young senator from some blue state could end up winning the nomination, become president.
Very true.
Happen to Barack Obama.
We do.
Can happen to someone else. But I also think that besides that, you're going to go see. Well, there are two things I think from the left you're going to go see. I think you're going to go see campaign professionals or whatever say, let's not run against Hillary. Let's not go primary Hillary. Because what's going to happen is we're going to use our resource that we could be using on a general campaign. And we're going to be wasting much money. When let's just allocate our funds towards Hillary and strengthen her. Or you're going to see progressives, especially the Bill de Blasio types and people like the Bill Myers of the world or whatever.
Yeah,
or people like WFP, the Working Family Party members, that they're going to say, no, we have certain principles, whether they be environmental reform or more socialistic environments, economic environments, if you could call that a principle, right. Or laws that they abide by. So I think that they aren't going to want to see this triangulation that Hillary abides by.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, I've never really been a big fan of campaigns anyway, just because of the money and the whole traveling and all that.
Speaking
kind
of
stuff,
money, Hillary's campaign is expected to bring in 2.5 billion big ones.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I see that, and I think to myself, like, it's so...
A lot of greens, a lot of trees.
To me, it's not necessarily unnecessary, but it's just, like, dang, you're spending so much money to just get your name out there to really do this, when really you're forgetting about the whole reason you're running, necessarily, to me. But, I mean, that's just kind of a small issue in the grand scheme of things. But I think, yeah, I mean, really, I think you really nailed it on the head when you said some random Joe could, from another blue state, take the whole swing of the presidential candidacy. And I think someone that's going to be on the other side, I mean, most likely a Republican other than a Libertarian, but the Libertarian Party has made a big comeback in these past couple of years just because of the two-party system that we've been really rocking for a couple. Yeah. But I think more than anything, we're really going to see a turnout from the Republican Party in this election. I can really see that, and I think they're going to win. I mean, in my eyes, whoever it may be, I think a more conservative value will be bringing will be the prominent thing come this next election. Just because, I mean, we really need to bring it back down to principles after we've just really brashfully revolved our society as a whole here in America. I mean, these past 8 years have been really, I mean, as much as I don't want to say it, there has been some change. I mean, healthcare wise, I mean, stimulus wise, there's been a lot of stigma when it comes to our economy. We really bounced back from our recession, I feel like. I mean, we're still feeling some repercussions, but there's still a lot of unemployment going about. But I think now it's really time to go down to conservative values and bring it forth, you know. But what do you say?
Well, Pat, obviously there are a lot of issues that we have to face in America, but I'll let you go towards this article in the New York Post from a few days ago, where it says 19,700 kids dashed hopes. And the first line reads, "The Success Academy Charter Network has released the results of its entrance lottery last week. 2,317 lucky kids won a seat. 19,700 children did not." So, basically, what's happening in inner cities like New York City is that public school systems are fledgling, and they're really not helping the students out. And many students and families that are actually involved with their children's education, are moving over to charter school systems. and a lot
rightfully so, more than anything.
But a lot of Republicans are in favor of this, but I'm kind of going against the trend because I think that the public school system is instrumental to educating, not just educating our country, but also socializing our country where people and the community flourish when they meet people of diverse backgrounds instead of picking and choosing what school you're going to go to. I mean, this isn't going to college, it's going to your neighborhood school. And people should be able to go to the neighborhood school down the block that really educates them. And I'm a graduate of the public school system. I attended the public school in Yonkers, New York from 3rd grade to 8th grade. And I think I turned out quite fine. Some people might disagree, but to each their own, I guess.
Don't you love that? Don't you love that? Oh, you went to a private school? No, I mean, you know what? I actually have a different view from that. But keep going.
In the public school system, in Yonkers, right now, there are 8 schools out of, must be a 10-school district, that are on the state of New York's list of failing schools. And if they aren't able to go mitigate the excesses and problems, then what's going to happen is the school is going to be taken over by a corporation. Now, you tell me, do you want a corporation running your children's school and hampering on their education? It's the same problem that we have with the Common Core issue. That all of a sudden everything becomes corporate, whether it's national government or it's a company.
Well, let me hold you up there real quick.
We have local control.
Because I think you brought up a really cool issue, and I think more so with when we really talk about public school versus private school, more so, I think we really got to digress the issue of the core values, the core. Because hold on, because when we talk about that, we talk about that public school wise. I mean, with private schools, I mean, I see where you're coming from when it comes to a corporate kind of standpoint when it comes to like privatizing school, but I feel like private schools.
No, Pat, I'm talking about privatizing the public sector.
The public sector, yeah, because as in public schools.
Yeah, because.
Like the government just gives up their
basically because if you look at the school system in Yonkers, what they're thinking about doing is if those 8 public schools aren't able to go reform themselves, they're going to go give it over to some educational corporation.
Yeah, that has the money to facilitate something like
that. Yeah, that's going to go say, this is what we're going to do. So all of a sudden, just like Common Core does, you're going to take things out of local hands. But I think that's a big problem focusing the public school system, and tell me if I'm wrong, that it's cesspool rampant with corruption, misguided and misused funds, and selfish unions that aren't in that.
And this is within the private sector?
No, the public sector.
Okay.
Where you have misguided and misused funds, you have corruption all over the place, and you have a union that's all in it for the employees, and the employees aren't in it for the children. Where all it is you got people in there that just want a 9 to 3 job, or 9 to 2:30 job, about 2-hour lunch break, and they want nice vacation and $150,000 a year. I mean, okay, with great pensions for 25 years of service.
Let's look at how well teachers are paid nowadays.
That attitude has run this country's economy into the ground. It's really run New York City, New York City's economy into the ground.
You can't say teachers are going to do that. They're getting so underpaid. They're getting $25,000 a year. I don't think teachers like that, and I think in the private sector
there are plenty of teachers out there that aren't really doing their job, and we see it right here.
Have those
and all of a sudden, again, we're rewarding teachers on the basis of how many years
tenure,
on tenure, instead of rewarding them for how well their students are performing. But
I think that's why we have standardized testing, but necessarily those standardized tests don't work.
Or perhaps how well students are performing isn't good. Maybe it's on how much they improve. Because we've also seen an issue with that, where there was one honors teacher in the New York City public school system, and she was rated as one of the worst teachers by a standardized grading system. And the reason was because she was teaching all honors classes, and every single kid came in basically with Harvard and Yale capabilities, and no one was really
up to the par.
No, where no one was really improving under her tutelage, where everyone, no matter what, they were going to be giving a 95 A+ work, no matter who was their professor. So, I mean, we have to find a system where we get the best teachers. Perhaps it's on the basis of effort.
Well, let's look at the other examples from other countries. I mean, we look at France, we look at Italy, we look at Germany, we look at even England. I mean, we see that their successes are truly prominent, not necessarily on the teachers, but on the institutions that these kids attend. And I think with the privatized sector, not necessarily the privatized sector, but private schools and as a general do a really good job is that they set up a platform based on a community of teachers, and these community teachers are those of the best of the best because they're hired to a private school for a reason. Well, not because you're not going to send those kind of those teachers to public schools. And you know what? And I feel that private schools.
Hold on, Pat. One, some public schools have the greatest teachers.
Of course. And I'm not saying that.
No. The next point is, look, our federal government and state governments throughout the country try to enhance our educational system when they came with the Common Core guidelines. But as Bill Gates said, it's an experiment that we'll know the results to 20 years from now. So they're making children and younger generations guinea pigs and lab rats. I don't really like that. But what they also did is they didn't include any teachers in their write-ups. All they had was they had.
Well, they're trying plans that.
All they had was they had Bill and Melinda Gates go write out some educational proposal. They didn't have any teachers from the classroom say this is what needs to be done.
Well,
so they never helped.
Proves my point. I mean,
exactly.
we have a community of teachers in the private schools that are selected based off their abilities. I'm not saying that the public schools don't have good teachers. I went through the public school system. I mean, I went through a private school system up until the 3rd grade, but up until third, just as you were, till 12th grade, I went to a private school. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, public school. I apologize. I went to a public school, and I feel like public schools out in the West Coast are very, very, very different than that of the East Coast. I mean,
can you just explain that for a moment?
What's that?
Can you just explain the difference?
I mean, okay, let's talk about Chaminade High School out here in New York. One of the most beautiful campuses I've ever seen in my life, and I think I can compare that perfectly to my high school because those two, I like to say, egos or more or less like their social just responsibilities are so high to the standard that they have the most amazing teachers and the most amazing facilities to properly fixate a kid to be the best person standard to what they believe to be in the world is shown throughout the entire country. And I think these two schools are like rated in the top 50 or something like that. And they're not. And the only big difference between them is that Chaminade is private, and my high school is public. And
so you're saying
I'm saying
that the rate of public schools is higher on the West Coast than it is
what
on
I'm
the
saying
East Coast.
is that you can see how delegated funds are within an education system. You see how schools that do successfully get more money.
No, not necessarily.
Yes, of course.
No, not necessarily, because the state of New York ranks 50th in 50th meaning one. It ranks number 1 in how much money they spend on pupil per capita.
Could you elaborate a little more? I don't understand the relevance.
New York State spends the most money out of any other state in the United States.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they spend more money on one certain school.
Well, hold on.
That's what.
Hold on. And yeah, they're at number 49 in student success rates pertaining to education. And also, we see many schools in the New York City system where the city council or the federal government or the state government, they'll just throw cash bundles over at them. And look, 19,700 kids dashed hopes. That's the headline you get out of
I'm not saying
cash
New York
bundles
City
being thrown
doesn't
at
have
the front door.
successful public schools.
So all of a sudden, see, a lot of these funds are misallocated and misguided. They're throwing money at a target that is not the right target. It's a veiled attempt. It's a veiled attempt and a weak swipe at solving the issue that is only a temporary solution.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
No, but you're arguing that more money is more success. No,
it's not what I'm arguing.
Yes, you did. You said that.
No. What I'm arguing is that schools that are more successful.
You just said that schools that more money are more successful.
No, I said schools that have higher test scores that operate better successfully get more money. That's exactly what I said.
Now, you said the vice versa.
What's that?
You said the vice versa.
No, I said public schools that do operate better and get higher test scores that are at a better standard than other public schools get more money. And it's been proven time and time out.
Huh.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that New York City schools aren't like to the par of what West Coast schools are.
No, but Pat,
what it really comes down to is how are we allocating funds? What opportunities are we giving kids? And how are we going to put them in the best standard? Pat,
another important thing that we are failing to discuss is how parental involvement really equates with educational success, and that you can have all the great notes on your desk and everything, but if you don't have the great guidelines reaffirming your moral positions and your education on the desk at the family table, then Plato, Socrates, and Shakespeare, and Locke and Milton, they don't matter if mom and dad aren't there.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's very true. And you know what? You brought up a great point.
And that's why we need more campaigns for more present fathers in the inner communities.
And you know what?
Because kids without fathers and kids with mothers that are smoking dope or whatever you're doing, or older brothers and sisters that are out doing their things in the gang.
Well, here's how
that really negatively affects
biggest things that
children.
Great Britain really brought up back in the day, back in I think was early 20th century, is the fact of boarding schools, where they knew families weren't doing their portion, and they'd ship their kids off to school, and I think that was one of the most effective things in Great Britain society, is when they were separated from their family and brought into a society and brought into a school where they're literally, all right, we're going down to brass tacks. You're gonna learn this, you're gonna learn that, and you're gonna live with these kids, and you're gonna learn how to live with these people, and you're gonna learn how to basically live, survive on your own. We're putting you in a position where we have a house over your head, you have food, you have shelter, you're able to take a shower every morning, you have clothes on your back, but you're gonna be wearing the same clothes as everyone else. It's kind of that military style learning that really helped embellish Great Britain society, and I think if America were to do something like this, I think it would be extremely effective at taking kids away from these harsh homes. I mean, and if you look in like crazy dirty South, like you'll see kids that are inbred. I mean, kids that are come from heroin addicts. I mean, and it's proven time in, time out. I mean, I come from a big stoner state, so there's a lot of people smoking weed. And you see some
high in the
families,
Rockies.
Yeah, you see some families that are able to pull off it very well and do what they do. You kind of shy an eye, but you look at the kid. You got to go at the end of the day. You got to go, all right, is this kid doing his homework? Is he doing good on school? What is he doing? And if he's doing his job, he's doing his job. But I mean, if his parents are flunking him out, then he's flunking him out, and we should send him to boarding school. And I think that's what the biggest thing. And I feel like if on a national level we're able to delegate and allocate funds a little bit betterly, not necessarily based off of test scores, like I said before, then we wouldn't have schools like Cherry Creek High School that have 3 tennis courts, a nice football field, and a baseball field that's probably worth a little over $2 million. And you look at those kind of places and you're like, all right, wow. You see the alumni, how they're donating money back, which is great. You love alumni to do stuff like that, but you got to see how, okay, if alumni is bringing in this much amount of money, then why are we giving you guys so much money anyway to just operate? And then you got to go back down to it. All right, we have these teachers that are so successful, they do so well, but they get paid such dirt. And then you look at the private sector and you go, wow, it'd be really nice to work in the private sector and make that extra $30,000-$40,000 and be a notion teacher that actually is respect. I mean, not necessarily that they're not being respected, but to have a little bit more,
well, Pat,
to their respect.
Pat, we're definitely wrapping up this segment right now.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we have to, but I think that we can both agree that there's definitely a need for reform, just like Rob and I were talking about the need for reform in baseball on the drug epidemic plaguing baseball. There's a need for reform on the educational epidemic too, where we see a disastrous disease going on, and it's going to take proud Americans and courageous conservatives to really hamper down on the American crisis happening at the academics in K through 12.
Bash bosh, man. It's all about it. But this has been the Political Gridiron. I'm Patrick McGuire.
And I'm Bill Maloney.
Thank you for listening, guys.